that was one of those moments where, oh, everything makes sense. Nothing, no other explanation of why I am the way I am, why my experience has been so difficult and painful. Like no explanation ever came close. And I bump into human design. I'm like, check. Oh my God, check. It just kind of explained everything. So there was the part of it that made so much sense with my experience. And then, projectors finding a system that explains everything. I mean, I went head first into it. It was like
your first line.
Oh my God. It was like I was raiding a library. Like when I found out about the megafile, I kind of lost my mind.
Hi, I'm Vaness Henry, and welcome to InSights. InSights has historically been my private podcast for community members who are studying and experimenting with their variables with me. And I wanted to try something experimental this year by 2 weeks later putting out my private podcast publicly on YouTube with a video component. This allows me to be a little bit louder about some of the amazing conversations I'm having with my guests while also spotlighting my guests. I want to introduce you to Karen Scholle. She's my go-to Reiki practitioner, but what's different about her Reiki is she's not using the classic 7 chakra system that Reiki is traditionally taught through, but she's modified it for a human design 9-centered energy being. If you're a human design studier, you know that the 7 chakra system has expanded to 9 energy centers, and Karen mutated her practice to accommodate that. She then tells me about how she has expanded her study to work with individual people to doing Reiki on the home because the home also has a spirit just the way a human does. The way we have 9 energy centers, our houses and homes have 9 energy sectors according to the Feng Shui system. So there's overlap here, and Karen is experimenting with that as a modern mystic, being mutated with her studies, and she's providing Reiki for individuals and Reiki for the home. I even ask her why there's been this pattern of sexual resurgence after she connects with some of her clients. Why is everybody all Twitter-pated after they have Reiki with Karen? So I'm so excited for you to check out this conversation with her and let me know what you think in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Hello, Karen. Welcome back to the pod.
Hi, Vaness. Thank you for
Welcome
having
back.
me.
So great to have you back. There was a really cool experience you had recently that I was wanting to chat a little bit more about. You are my go-to Reiki practitioner, but Reiki is one of my favorite kind of healing practices and healing arts, and it's something that I like to kind of build into my own practice regularly. So how did you get into being a Reiki practitioner? How'd that find you?
Reiki has been on my radar for decades. My dad is a chiropractor, and so alternative health, alternative wellness has always been a big part of my life. And I had been hearing about Reiki for a long, long time, but I hit a burnout wall. And something about the timing there, I was like, okay, Reiki, it's time.
Is chiropractor considered alternative?
It is in the US, and it definitely was in 1981 when he set up his practice.
And I guess to like people who are doctors, maybe there's a perception there. Because like to me, chiro would be more in the medical realm than like a healing art. I've never kind of heard it described that way, but you're actually making me think about it differently. Like, why isn't it? It's absolutely a healing art. Absolutely. You see the way they do things to your body?
It absolutely is. The American Medical Association did some things with some rules at a certain point in American history that intentionally sort of blocked them from this official, approved whatever.
Okay, interesting. I had no idea. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so you're steeped with a dad who's in that type of environment. Okay.
Yes. And dad also does acupuncture and traditional Chinese medicine. And so I grew up learning about meridians and body systems and hearing about these other things. So I have adrenal burnout. I'm like, my life has imploded. I'm like 38, 39. And at that point I was like, okay, it's time for Reiki. So I started learning about Reiki. And what drew me in was, it's a self-healing practice. I was like, okay, I want to have some power, some agency to do something for myself. I was feeling really frustrated with my experience in like going to doctors and trying to get my problem solved. And no one was really doing the thing. So I found Reiki. I started working with it. And about the same time, I found human design, and I had this conflict of like, well, this is 7. Traditional Reiki is rooted in 7 chakras. But I have this amazing new system to look at, and it's based on 9 centers. So I was in an in-between space where I was learning the craft of Reiki and starting to feel the physical effects of, wow, I do feel better doing this energy
Okay.
work on myself.
And human design coming online for you at that time. You're a 1/4 splenic projector. And, when projectors come to the system, they have a different experience because what was your experience coming to the human design system and discovering that about yourself? In tandem, you're learning about Reiki. So your whole human design, of course, is 9 energy centers. Reiki is a 7 chakra system, but what's unique about your work is you were doing this at a time, learning about these both at the same time. So Reiki became a 9-centered practice for you, but you're a projector now coming to the system. So what's it like discovering you're a projector?
Oh, that was one of those moments where, everything makes sense. No other explanation of why I am the way I am, why my experience has been so difficult and painful. Like, no explanation ever came close. And I bump into human design. I'm like, check. Oh my God, check. It just kind of explained everything. So there was the part of it that made so much sense with my experience. And then, projectors finding a system that explains everything. I mean, I went head first into it.
Your first line.
Oh my God. It was like I was raiding a library. Like when I found out about the megaphile, I kind of lost my mind.
What's the megaphile?
Megaphile is like this open secret in the human design community that is a shared resource. I mean, I pass around the link all the time now, but when I first got it, it was sort of surreptitiously slid over to me, like, don't tell anyone you've got the megaphile.
It's so funny. Manifestors had a Facebook group where they put every single resource they had ever found into a shared resource. So manifestors were all like, set up. But you're saying that, so the projector experience, though, we know is a unique experience. We know it is slightly different. You're saying for you, it's particularly difficult and painful. What was the experiences as a projector that were the difficult, painful experiences that seemed to be different than everyone else or than other energy types, perhaps?
I think,
because we know your energy works differently, but we don't always understand that in like practice.
Yeah. There was the very basic thing of how I don't have the same amount of energy, a feeling of I can't keep up. And what is wrong with me that I can't do this? Other people make it look easy. Working 40-hour weeks, that seems to not be a big deal for everyone I know. And it is such a struggle. I have to dig in so deep and like dig into some resource that feels like I'm raiding something. Something always felt off about trying to work like other people.
As a non-sacral, I share that.
Oh my God.
I'm not a projector, but I too was like, this is like, not a feeling of can't keep up, but almost like hyper competition that would come out of me because everybody seems to last longer than me. But then once I started working, I always did work like not in a traditional way. I've kind of been an entrepreneur right out of college. So I was able to sort of create my own schedule because I was going to die. I was like, I can't keep up with this. I'm going to have to figure out a different way. So that feels like a shared non-sacral experience. Yeah. But I appreciate that the manifestor has a different aura and a different, like energetic. But you're a non-energy projector. Some projectors are energy projectors. You're splenic and don't have a root connection or anything. It's spleen, G-center, throat, and ajna. So you're learning about human design. You discover Reiki. Well, you know about Reiki, but you start experimenting and practicing Reiki, and you make this adjustment to do 9-centered Reiki. How did this go? How did this start? I'm a recipient of it, and I love it.
It felt like I was doing something dangerous and forbidden when I first started playing around with it.
Okay.
One of the rules that I learned from my Reiki teacher was, we don't talk to the recipient about this. When I started practicing, I was like breaking this rule of telling the recipient what my experience was of it. And before that, I had broken this other rule of like, I don't know if the system as it was given to me, Reiki, is correct. How can it be correct? And so I entered into this kind of like secret experiment of what if I do like go through the motions of a Reiki treatment on myself, but instead of thinking about these 7 chakras, I think about the 9 centers. And I started having these like emotional experiences as I was doing that. And I was hitting on something and I was seeing these blobby colors and sensory stuff started unlocking. And I was like, I'm onto something, but I'm afraid to talk about it.
And like, I know you and I have talked about this before, even privately, but in the shamanic arts, and I think in a lot of esoteric studies, there is this aspect of do not share with the client, do not share with the recipient, because your own interpretation might be jarring to them. They may not need to know that. They just need you to go in and do, let's say, the clearing or the retrieval or whatever it is that you're doing. And I want to share that also doesn't feel right for me as the practitioner, but also as the recipient. As the recipient receiving whatever the thing is that I'm participating in, I love when the practitioner comes to me. I'm a high sound person though, and shares what they experienced. I find that does a lot of my own unlocking. And, I have a mentor that I work with who will do certain shamanic stuff with me, and he won't always communicate with me what he's doing. And I always feel like I want to ask, and I do. And he then will tell me, because I'm like, for me, there is something in that additional information. So in my own practice, when I work with people, there's like an assessment. Like you can feel sometimes they don't need to know this or maybe that's for me. But for the most part, just based on even if you're reading their humanness of how they are in that moment, maybe this isn't necessary. At least that's kind of what happens in me. Not that you're necessarily withholding, but it's just not necessary. That's the only way I can describe it. But I always feel called to share as the practitioner. And I'm hearing that you also felt called to share, but I appreciate feels like you're doing something wrong because all your elders and teachers or ancestors or guides and mentors in this have said, not for them, keep it for you. It's too holy or whatever the story is. So yeah, it feels like you're breaking a rule. Someone's going to come get mad at you. You're going to get arrested. Like it just feels like kind of like a survival thing kicks in. And I share that with you.
Yeah. I have since kind of put some things together though, like the discomfort of not disclosing to the recipient probably is hitting on personal experience of feeling like my doctor isn't telling me everything. What are you not telling me? Why don't I get to see my own chart? Like there's this gatekeeping relationship with physicians and with, medical care, particularly as a woman in America. Like our system is really specifically gatekept in all these different ways. And just open communication
I do
with
just
the
want to
physician.
acknowledge I'm in Canada. We have completely different medical systems. I don't pretend to know the ins and outs of what goes on with you. But from what I've heard from my friends in America, you just have a completely different experience. Like you guys have to pay for a lot of things yourself. You have to fight for the certain things that you want. And while that can happen in Canada, I do want to say our experience here is different. So I can't fully relate to you, but I've heard the stories and hearing that makes a lot of sense to me. There is these feelings sometimes that you don't know what you don't know when you go into a doctor's office, and that's very intimidating. And the idea that they may not be sharing everything with you is kind of discomforting, So I hadn't actually thought of that, and that's a significant point, I think, as to why people who are on the not confined by the rules of, let's say, the medical field, or they're doing something in alternative healing, they have this sense of wanting to connect with the humanness on the other side,
Yeah. All this sort of discomfort, but also a feeling of, I have to investigate that. Like, I have to figure this out.
So what did you figure out then? What's your unique approach compared to traditional Reiki?
Well,
what are you doing now?
Traditional Reiki is about a practitioner connecting with the universal field of energy, directing that through themselves into the recipient. And so there is this sort of conduit role that the practitioner plays in traditional Reiki. And I had my practice of doing it that way and then directing it toward the 9 centers and then starting to talk to people about what I was seeing as I was working on them. And I'm at a point now where I'm like, 9-centered Reiki is a fundamental shift from traditional Reiki in that I'm not even doing the same sort of unidirectional thing. I don't know that.
Right.
It might be a logical fallacy that I can tap into energy, direct it through me, and be untouched by anything on the other side of it, But that was kind of the premise of Reiki as it was sold to me, that I'm going to be this neutral party that just directs the energy. And what I'm learning through Nine-Centered Reiki is that this is a collaborative approach to moving energy and information. I don't know how to talk about exactly what's happening, but something magical is happening. So,
okay, well, this is a good moment then to point out your innocence motivation. That's a really sparkly way of why I like watching you. But I know I kind of introduced your 1/4 splenic projector, but the way I like to talk about people is you're a mountains projector. I'm a shores manifester. I like to lead with the environment, just unique to my own studies. Nobody else really does that. There's not really a culture around that, but I would love if there was.
yeah.
But you're a mountains projector. So to me, right away, you exist on a I'm going to call it a higher plane, in a different realm. You see things objectively differently than everybody else around you. There's something unique about your perspective that the 5 other archetypal environments, caves, markets, kitchens, valleys, and shores people, do not see it the way you see it. You have a different vantage point when you're aligned,
Yeah.
And so anytime I see someone's mountains, it's like it's a way of and a projector, you have this brilliant capacity for recognition, and you're on another level, if I could say it simply, And I remember when I was having Reiki with you for the first time and you were sharing the experience after your outer vision cognition. And I was like, she is literally going up into her mountain. She's essentially shamanic journeying to the individual, because it was distance Reiki. And she is seeing, from the work that I do, I felt you came into my playing field, you came into my inner world, and I was going to give you a tour. And you were going to see it all. And so you started reflecting what you saw. And so then you came back to me and said, I pulled this out of the spleen. That's nice common language for us. I pulled this out of the head center, or I noticed this in the G center. And so it was those things you had kind of communicated to me. This doesn't mean specific things to me, but I felt called to communicate it with you. And those things meant something to me. So yes, you had gone and done the energy healing and the work on me, but you also had a sensorial visual experience through it. And you felt you wanted to share that with me. And when you did, I got so much extra for my consciousness, for my spirit, not just the body work or the energy work that you had done, but there was connection points I could then make thanks to your touch, your way of kind of moving through that. And so that's when I was like to you, girl, that outer vision was on point.
I was so scared. I was like, I mean, me telling you what I saw in that session was the first time I told someone all of the stuff I saw in a session.
And then now I'm just this loud bulldozer who's like, Karen, louder.
Now I'm like, thank God for Vaness giving me the little nudge, because I would be still probably keeping it quiet, I think.
Oh, I didn't know that. Thank you.
Oh, Vaness.
Thank you.
Okay, the impact. That little bump.
You're gonna tell me about my impact?
That little nudge. I mean, I conceive of manifestor impact differently now because of that. That was a worldview shifting, life altering nudge that you gave me.
That's very kind. Thank you. Because in the manifestor community, we have a lot of fear traumas around our impact, So to hear of a positive reflection and how that shifted in you is actually deeply kind, Karen. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. I think about it so often, the way that, the nudge is often uncomfortable. It's like, what? Huh?
Of course, every nudge is, yeah.
And, but it's love. Manifestor impact is love.
It's okay.
It's okay.
And also, you're an example of a modern mystic out there. You are in this time of mutating, bridging these existing systems for this new world that is en route. And you're doing the brave experiments that are scary, And when we understand we are more than 7 chakras, we have 9 energy centers. There was a mutation in our energy centers. There's more areas to be aware of now. Once I'm really attracted to practitioners and mystics whose work reflects that evolution in us. I like when they have an awareness of human design, because it makes me feel like there's an acknowledgement and speaking to a more aware human being. You have you have we have multiple awareness centers in the study of human design. So when you hear these other practitioners adjusting their classic systems to be able to, I guess, create something new, it's very exciting. I'm very attracted to people doing that. Or there's a lot of people in the kind of space that we're in who will kind of blend, let's say, human design, astrology, and gene keys. Love that.
Yes.
Love that. Love when people do that beautiful brain for us, So it's an exciting time, I think, when people are curious about adapting their tools and methodologies, even if it's tapping. People are tapping and they'll tap in different places along certain meridians, but they'll now do it with different centers because there's this growing awareness of, we are more aware. So what are some of the things I would love if you could share kind of an incredible story with us about some of these experiences that you've been doing, because you do a lot of distance Reiki, but you do a lot of in-person Reiki. But you have this human design awareness. So people have started to come to you with, let's say, issues or concerns, and you kind of essentially journey to them and work on them doing Reiki at a distance. So how's that been going?
It is continually amazing. There's no, it's so hard to describe. I keep having these experiences where I go into my meditative state to do distance Reiki, and I visualize myself being in this like mountain A-frame cabin. It's got a big window out on the mountain, snowy, beautiful. And I bring the person in, and they lay down on this table, and I close my eyes within that visualization, and then I start seeing things. And at the beginning of this process of me practicing this, I was like, whoa, I don't know what I'm seeing. There was like the judging eye that was right behind the seeing eye. And so what I was seeing was being kind of critiqued. I was like, what is that? Explain it. The more I do this, the more the seeing eye is right up front and the explaining eye is taking kind of a back seat. And I can just be like, okay, well, there is a small creature in the space with us. I think it's a cat. It might be a small dog. I don't know. But the cat wanted me to follow him. And so I followed him down a long white hallway. And then we morphed into this other environment. And then I saw this thing pop up out of your throat center. And then I felt a lumpy pressure in my throat and I started crying. And innocence motivation, something about the sort of innocent bystander, objective reporter really makes sense to me, because there is that judging eye that wants to explain the story gets in the way of the objective reporting, the who, what, when, where, why, how. Like, you're a journalist or you have a journalism background. You know what that is, right? There's an objective, like, this is what I saw.
You want an unbiased objective report, but you also have to contend with, we all carry inherent biases.
Exactly.
So it's like, how do I navigate around that? I want to point out what I think is happening in you and why you're brilliant. I'm looking off camera here because I'm looking at I'm looking at your body graph on my other computer. And as an outer vision person, I guess I should preface with, I always look at the variable. I specialize in variable. I'm always looking at the inner architecture of the individual because I want to see where you're brilliant. I'm watching you be aligned and I want to understand, right? That's the journalism objectivity. Right. Like, let us understand what's happening here. Somebody who's outer vision does have this incredible capability within them to see the way things could be disassembled. Like, these are the kids who will like take things apart to kind of understand them. And so there is this aspect of this kind of almost visionary connections, seeing things. This is an active brain. Yep. But you also have your mountains with a taste tone. So you go into, like, from your space. I'm imagining you in sort of your A-frame cabin where you are working on these individuals, and then you are getting these little samples of these experiences. Like, to me, a cat showed up and it took you somewhere and there was this white thing. Like, that's in shamanism, I would be translating all that. To me, I know exactly what that's all meaning. But so when you come communicate that to me, I'm like, oh, like, right. But that's my experience. Not saying that's what everybody else kind of would have. But you had this unique experience lately that I would love to kind of hear more about, where you had a client call to you for a touch cognition baby. Would you share a little bit more about what happened there?
Yeah. So my friend reached out, and her 6-month-old touch cognition baby was having this terrible bout of eczema that kept getting worse. And so he's got this like itchy rash. It's spreading. What do we do?
Well, okay. First, actually, before we get there, I introduce this baby as a touch cognition baby because that's my interest. But I think we would normally introduce this baby as like, what's their design type?
So this is a manifester.
Okay. So we've got this manifester baby.
Yeah.
And you had been like, this baby has rashes. And when you came to me about it, I was like, let's look for touch cognition because that's a touch cognition symptom. And sure enough, you said this baby is touch. So what you then kind of do this sort of distance treatment. What do you discover?
Man. So I went in and did a couple different treatments for this family. Like I did a direct Reiki treatment for mom, and I also did a home Reiki treatment.
I'm very curious about that. I would love to talk about that after.
I mean, this that experience was incredible.
So we did a treatment on mom, a treatment on the home, and did you do a specific treatment on the baby? You didn't.
Not yet.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
There is a consent piece.
Yeah, that's why I was like, so what do you? Yeah.
And especially with a manifester, like I'm not going to come in and be like, I declare that I have consent to do that. Like projector aura is real pokey. Like there's a lot of consent stuff for me. So I'm very careful about that. But doing the environment, I wanted to get a sense of, because there was part of, I mean, okay, a touch cognition manifester baby is showing symptoms in the skin. He's 6 months old. What conditioning? What could it be? It's the environment. It's mom and dad. Like what's happening there emotionally? That was my first thought, was like, okay, something in the environment is speaking through the baby's body.
Yeah. In my work, when I'm noticing a symptom, like, and we've identified its touch, I'm going to look, is that in the determination variable in the diet, or is that in the environment variable in the lifestyle? Because then I know we've got a diet impairment and we do a diet adjustment or a lifestyle adjustment. So in the case of this is a touch cognition baby, baby is essentially eating something in its formless reality. And so it can kind of be confronting as a parent to think there's a way I'm living that could be making my baby sick in some way. So, how did you deliver that information gently?
Very carefully.
Okay. Yeah.
Very carefully. I mean, I really,
as a parent, that would terrify me, right? Like,
yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And I don't want to I never want to make, I don't want to pile on for women, mothers.
Yeah. Like nobody's doing anything wrong, but maybe
nobody's doing
aware.
anything wrong. And also being a mom is the hardest job in the world. Full stop. And as a mom, I'm not going to come in and be like, you are doing this wrong. And look at how sick your baby is. You're making your baby sick.
We don't know that she is.
Right.
Like, we just know there is something that's our own perception. We just know there is something in this baby's life that the baby can't digest.
Yeah. So something
what might that be? So, set that.
Yeah, it was like something, I would say something is inflaming, irritating. We're seeing this sort of eruption in the skin. So,
and rash to me on a manifester is there anger, right? If you look at like Louise Hay's work or Dr. Yvette Rose, a lot of their work will talk about like the rashing is the anger, coming through the skin, and so it's interesting it's happening.
Inflammation in my mind is always like, is it anger or frustration? Like what level of intensity are we in? Yes. Because I think they're kind of the same thing. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I was talking to the mom about, okay, this is something is not being digested correctly. This is what's happening. The inflamed rash makes me think it's on the anger axis. So, where are we angry? And then also, like, I know that mom had a traumatic pregnancy, didn't have great experiences with
the origin story.
Doctors. Yeah, this is a 1-3 mom. And she third lined her way through this pregnancy and the medical establishment that she was working with. And there was
that's
a lot
baby's first environment.
Yes.
And I think a lot about this and how I was in my pregnancy, and I feel a lot of ways about this, and they're not good ways. I was not accepting of my pregnancy because I was told I could never have kids. And then I all of a sudden got pregnant. I couldn't understand this would happen to me. And I didn't choose it as like the ego manifester. So there was this inner war.
Yeah.
There's no pictures of me because I didn't want this to believe this was real. I almost died during the labor. It was so much. And then I think that's how my child came into the world. Makes me feel awful.
I have similar mom guilt,
Yeah.
I was not trying to get pregnant. I didn't know what to do about it. I didn't feel like I was
Yeah.
going to be equipped. I was scared, bitter,
Same,
anxious,
same.
angry, emotional. I mean, all the things that who I am and also who I'm not supposed to be. And I mean,
My child became the best thing that ever happened to me. So it's like funny to even imagine, like that's now so much of my focus and drive and understanding the way children's cognitive potential could be developed and nurtured for all generations going forward. The drive to be loud or to say something is always kind of around children and like
mhm.
their needs and but that story started with a rejection of being a creator in that way, being a parent in that way, you know?
Yeah,
And so it just, yeah. So I feel ashamed that I would have done that to him on some level, you
yeah,
know? And I
yeah.
can't undo it. And so it's like, oh, I just gotta make up for.
I can't go back and like, oh, parenting is like we're learning so much on the fly all the time. And then for me, there's always that retroactive, like, I wish I had known that 5 minutes ago, 5 years ago. Like, I could have
And
been
then
so
it's
much
and
better.
then it's over. Like, you know, you
Yeah.
said your daughter's 25 and you're still her parent, but she's her own person now and exploring the world. And like my child is 10. And I feel like, holy cow, that went really fast. That went really fast. Like I find it very devastating. And to watch him develop and his cognitive potential come online, I have a feeling cognition kid is just has been incredible to watch, but he's already a tween. He's already becoming a young man. Like he's already almost the same height and weight as me. And I'm just like, that that was really fast.
It
And
goes
when it's
so
so
fast.
hard when they're little and then it's over. And
Yeah.
then
And
here
it's
we
like it
are.
switches gears and you kind of don't notice until you're already through the door. It's like,
Totally how I feel.
What
Yeah,
happened? My
beautiful
baby isn't
phrase.
a baby anymore.
And they have their own thoughts and they have their own
Oh,
ideas and their own opinions about the world and me and, you know?
yeah. Oh my God. And the double-edged sword of raising a kid to question authority and be an independent thinker and then having that directed back at you as the parent. Like, oh my God. Oh man. I mean,
It's
my
wild.
daughter has undefined ajna head throat. And so much of like my version of that is like, well, here's how that makes sense, babe. Like I'm offering mental reassurance and certainty where I'm like, you don't have to be worried. Like this all makes perfect sense. Don't doubt yourself. Don't
Mhm.
doubt hanging for, you know,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like we want to lend our kid whatever we've got.
I just want to understand him and encourage him to be whoever he wants to be. Like it's just exciting to watch him. There's nothing else that's more exciting to watch him. So as a parent, coming back to our story, I
Mm,
can understand that it would be very triggering and upsetting to think that there could be something that I'm doing without awareness that my child can't digest. I struggled a lot as a young parent when my child was young. I had a feeling cognition little boy who had lots of feelings. He was absorbing everything I was feeling and showing it to me, you know, and it was hard. So I'm thinking about like if I had someone come in and was helping me assess my child and they're saying he's eating something he can't digest, I'd be like, okay, what new food did I give him? Is it his milk? But you're actually saying your child is so evolved. They're eating so much more than just the food you're putting in their mouth. They're actually eating the energy on you when you come in. Oh my God, I would love to share something with you. I don't know if I've shared this. My social media manager, she had a baby and she had a touch cognition baby.
mhm.
And forgive me if I'm repeating myself to you, but she said the baby can sense when she leaves the room or when she's like, the baby sleeps in a bassinet. And if we quietly leave the space, the baby is aware. The baby has an aura that extends beyond the bassinet and can feel and touch things going on in the space. And I had done kind of like a child reading for her of like, let's be aware of this, 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 and babies' inner architecture. What do we need to know about raising these supernatural babies? You know, like what do we really need to know for their cognitive development? And part of what I had said to her is she's an emotional authority. And when you are feeding baby, if you're in any kind of upset emotional state, baby woke you, you're tired at night, baby is eating all that. This child is also a nervous touch eater with touch cognition. So they're an atmosphere eater. They're picking up the stuff in the space. And so she had kind of came to me with the information afterwards, like, you're not going to believe what this kid can do. So when these aware parents are like looking at these kids, there is a way to deliver the information that is both empowering to the parent while respecting their level of understanding of energetics and not making them feel like they're doing anything wrong, but getting them curious to understand the dynamics in the household with this new person who has changed the dynamic in the household, right? Like there's a new energy. And if this is a 6-month-old baby, there's a new system within the dynamic that changes the whole dynamic in the house.
And I think it's so easy to underestimate like what babies are picking up. I mean, societally, like
they're
we're so
nonverbal,
steeped in
right?
this. Yeah, like they're not talking, blah, blah, blah. And it's easy to think that like mom and dad can be arguing about something and even like arguing about something that is not really that important, but to understand that baby is hearing the tone, baby is eating the emotional frequency of whatever that is. And that was kind of part of it.
The pregnancy then, the acoustics, everything that woman is experiencing is being digested by the baby in utero. And then baby comes out. And now that we understand children have different sensitivities, they just have different tones even. A touch and a feeling cognition baby are highly evolved senses.
Yes.
We don't fully understand those because they're still in development.
Yes.
But that's not to say the other senses aren't just as evolved. These are like taste cognition kids who get sick because they don't know how to use discernment yet to say no and reject things. And they develop nut allergies, or they develop, they get milk allergies, or they develop resistance and intolerance to things. So when the parent understands the child's potential and what to watch for, it makes you a better parent. Like it makes you reflect on, because your only responsibility is to raise this child with like what's good for them without putting your stuff on them.
Yeah.
Which is not easy. So if you're just learning about your stuff, your that manifestor baby is initiating those parents, like what's going on in the emotional space of the home. Obviously, it might be stressful. There's a new baby, and who knows what else is going on in the life that could be stressing you out. But entertain the idea that your child is being affected by that way more than you know. You can see it on their skin.
And that is essentially the story that I told was you're probably not aware of everything that this baby is eating off of you and dad and the pets and the environment and whatever it is. And I even asked, like, this is a mountains baby too,
Cute.
And so,
how's baby sleeping? What's its environment?
Yeah. And their place is on the second floor. They're up. The elevation is nice. The views are great. I was like, okay, so that's like the 3D part of the environment seems right. But through the conversation of,
but what about the other dimensions?
Then I start getting the rest of the context of what's happening for this family.
Okay.
And
that's the holistic care.
And it all just makes sense. Okay. Dad's job, unsure, uncertain if he's going to continue to be employed past this point because something huge is happening at his company.
So stressful.
Financial uncertainty. This is a recently married couple who both owned homes before they got married. They want to buy a house together. They're living in a rental right now. Both of the homes are on the market and they're not selling.
Crazy. Okay. Yeah. Crazy marketplace for selling houses and stuff right now. Yeah. Okay.
So think of like just the financial aspects here, right? And then mom is on mat leave because.
And mom's healing because her body just split in two.
Literally healing after a traumatic trial and error pregnancy where, I mean, the amount of tests that had to be done before they figured out what the problem was with this symptom that mom was having during pregnancy and that symptom, so to hear it, baby's got eczema and then, you ask the right question, you get amazing answers. And so the rest of the story starts to fill in and I'm like, I want to come in and do an environmental sweep. I want to do some restorative work for you, Mom.
I would love to hear about this. Because now this is a new thing that you've started doing. In the shamanic arts, there's a lot. We hear about this a lot. That people will go into homes. Maybe there's a possession. Maybe there just needs to be a welcome home clearing. There's work that can be done in the home. I love to talk about this because houses have their own spirit.
Yes.
And so many of us just move into different houses as caretakers for a time. And we have to get to know that home spirit. And in Feng Shui, like human design, both these systems use the I Ching. There are 9 energy centers in the body and there's 9 energy sectors in the house. And so there is a way you can understand your home's energetic blueprint, much like you're understanding your own. And then you can kind of respect the spirit of the house, right? When was the house born? When was it built? Did it have any renovations? So environment is my favorite area of study. And when I heard you were going in and doing these things in the home to do home clearings, essentially Reiki in the house, I was like, I need to know everything. So please, how did this come up and what did you discover in your process?
Well, it came up as a personal thing that I was like,
just innocently invited into it. Hey, Projector.
Well,
cool.
I was like looking around my house. I'm like, I need to rearrange the living room. Ooh. Okay. And then I moved the furniture and I was like, let me settle this energy.
Yeah.
And, I have to change out the pictures every once in a while. I'm like, I'm not feeling this band or this color motif or whatever. So rearranging my space is a thing that I do. And then, there's a moment where I'm like, ooh, I could Reiki the space. Oh, that sounds fun. Like, there's the internal kind of like, yeah. So I did it here and it felt so good. I was like, well, let's do an experiment. Let me get some volunteers. I got in my stories and I was like, hey guys, I'm in experimental zone. So I'll offer this at a very low rate. Give me a little confirmation. Let me know if I'm onto something. Little trial.
And people reached out. I had people reaching out to me. Karen's in this thing. And I was like, what? Must hear about it. Because I think this is really cool, Karen. Like, so tell us about it. So you go, anyway. Can you pick one and tell me what we would expect if someone's doing Reiki to our home?
I mean,
because it's just caring for your home's energy. I feel it's very kind.
There was one where I like intentionally didn't Google this person's address, right? Like I want to go in blind with as little bias as possible. So I get booked to do a home Reiki session for someone and I go and I'm like, oh my God, the sky is so blue. Like I just, boop, I'm like beamed into a little environment and the first thing I see is this perfectly blue sky. I'm like, oh my God, that's gorgeous. Okay, this feels good. And I look at the house in front of me and it's like the environment kind of materializes or like appears or unveils itself, something.
Cool.
And so I'm like, okay. And so then I like go up the stairs. I mean, this touch cognition, baby. When I do that environment, I show up at their house and I'm like, oh, it's dark here. And then I go up some stairs and I'm not quite sure which room I'm supposed to go to. I have a sense of kind of confusion and it's a little bit dark in there. I can't see. And as an outer vision person, I'm like, okay, that's interesting. There's not a lot of light.
But that's all
in
information.
Right, right. Like, so, okay, data, file that away. And as I'm moving through the rooms, just trying to orient myself to like the kind of layout, it's like there's the sort of architectural, like what are the edges of the rooms? As I'm moving through the rooms.
Do you ask for the blueprint of the home before you do this? No, you just go in blind. Okay.
I mean, this practice is still in its infancy. So a lot of this is just kind of like, I guess I'll do this now, see if that matters, whatever. As I'm moving through the space, I feel like I'm bumping into a ball that I can't see. Like, those giant fit balls that are like
manifestor aura.
Totally. That manifestor kid was bumping me.
Oh yeah.
In the most like loving and playful way. It was like,
can't help it, right? It's just like, yeah.
Literally, like he was just there. But I kept having this feeling of like dunk, dunk, dunk.
Wow.
I felt what I felt. There was a loud noise happening too. And I was like, this is so noisy. It sounds like I'm in a machine room or an engine room or something, And again, it's like, I don't know what the story is, but I'll tell mom.
So you will communicate it in this case. It feels right to communicate it.
Yeah. And I mean, there is a neutral way to communicate anything in my world, right? So it was dark. It was really loud. It sounded kind of like this. It had a quality of this. And mom is like, did I ever tell you that we live in a converted mill? The house is literally over a huge moving body of water. And I was like, oh, moving water. Yeah, it sounded like a dam. It sounded, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I was hearing. And from a feng shui perspective, living above moving water, And she immediately was like, I know this is supposed to be temporary. We're not supposed to be here. Like, we thought our house would
It's
sell
so
before.
unstable.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh. But I was like, okay, so again, we're getting much more information about what is baby eating? Is baby taking up energy from the town through this moving water that is moving through a whole community? I mean,
hello, entertain the idea that that's how powerful we are and children are becoming. It's not just what's going on in the house. It might be the site you're on. It might be the town you're planted in. And then you're confronted with our lives are built, and it's not that we're not always set up where we can just move off of that, maybe I've invested in this or whatever the stories are. So that can be very confronting, I guess. But what you're kind of showing here is we don't all a huge part of what's missing when we're understanding what's going on with our health and wellness is this holistic component. We are connected to other people and other people affect us. So when we are unwell, it's actually not just about us. We do have to sort of zoom out and look at the lifestyle, the environment, and those who are connected to us, especially, Karen, some of these people who have these evolved tones, like feeling cognition or touch cognition in the determination variable or the environment variable. These people have these incredibly evolved sensorial systems where they are literally merging with other people and sharing the field with them. So it feels like it's happening to them. And in theory, it kind of is.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever read Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler, but the main character has hyper empathy. And so whenever somebody gets shot in front of her, she gets shot, but she gets up, right? But she experiences the blows. She experiences the world like that. And I just felt when I was reading that, this is an example of the potential within these evolved tones in the body, you know? And so what do we not know? So if there are people with these evolved tones and something's going on with your health, part of the holistic care is zooming out to examine the entire lifestyle and everyone who's connected to it, but we don't always know what to even ask. Like your friend that you were doing this for didn't even know that would have been a factor. We're just waking up to how sensitive we are and the variety of things that impact that sensitivity.
Yeah. And I mean, it all just makes perfect sense. Like, the thing that's going to grab mom's attention is the rash on baby.
Absolutely. Right?
So in a way, it's like there's so much we don't know, and the right thing will get our attention at the right time. And the more I'm sort of surrendered to, I guess I'm just going to see what I see and report it and trust that the story will come together guidance? Because the story always comes together. This is no matter how off the wall and crazy, whatever I see sounds to myself, when I tell the other person, they're like, oh yeah. There are no surprises. There are no mysteries. I'm not laying new groundbreak. I'm not traumatizing anyone.
Every mom wants to understand baby and fix that rash, right? But the issue is then we're going to put creams on, but we're not even dealing with what caused the rash. So let us understand. May we examine, and we might want to put on cream or whatever to help with the relief, but it's not gonna, this is something that's going to continue to happen to this baby for their whole life. And it will be the baby's sign that something's going on, perhaps in the emotional environment. So for that mom, we're going to be looking at rashes forever. This is going to be a thing. This is going to be how this brilliant body communicates. Your baby's not doing anything wrong. Your baby's nonverbal. And this is how baby's communicating with you, that it can't digest this experience. And then you got to think about that.
And what a gift, really, to just
have
an understanding as a parent, oh, okay, of course my baby is sensitive. This is how that sensitivity winks at me, gets my attention, whatever that is, shows up.
As a shores person, to me, it's Karen's using this as a bridge, showing how Reiki can adapt us for new human energetics.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything that, you've communicated this to this person? Was there any types of adjustments she made? Or what's the follow-up with baby's rash? Do we know yet? Was there follow-up?
The follow-up is always okay, how's it going?
Yeah.
I'll hear about, changes that are happening. The rash got worse. The rash got better. This is what we're playing with. These are I'll say
Love that
variable,
language.
not in the, chart sense, but like these are the levers we're playing with to see if we can get some movement in the right direction or, whatever that is. And frankly, like, I don't see that as any part of my work, like I'm going to go in and I'm absolutely going to plug you into the field. I'm going to feed as much loving energy into your system as possible. And I think what happens is like I'm activating aspects of whatever aura or home I'm working with, but I'm not there for follow through. Part of that is like what the recipient takes from it. And I also think there's something really interesting about like just the reorientation too. Oh, wow, somebody else picked this up in my body or in my environment. Let me pay attention to that.
Perspective. Mm-hmm.
I think the confirmation, like sometimes it is so easy to feel so alone in these things that we don't want to talk about because they don't feel safe to talk about. Like, is the fact that we live above moving water really maybe affecting my baby? That might sound crazy. That you might not want to talk to anybody about that. And to have somebody else come in and say, I got something that seems connected to this thing, that confirmation might be enough for a person to just simply orient to it as important. And not
just let this seep into your awareness and entertain it for a moment and see how you look at the world and your experience differently now.
Yes.
Because that might be the only shift that needed to happen.
Yes.
A little plug moment here. You're like, yeah, you need somewhere to go talk to. This was part of why I had initiated my commons area in my kind of my private work, was to gather people to be able to share their experiences in a high quality manner. And that's new for me, but it was because of this. Like I've had the experiences where like something significant has happened and I feel overcome to like share it, but I've had the times where I've been disappointed where I shared it in the wrong place or I wasn't received or they challenged me so there is an aspect of going to a space that's open and there is a like-mindedness and an encouragement to explore non-ordinary reality,
Yes.
But in preparation for our chat today, I've been watching with a slightly different eye because there were certain things I wanted to ask about. And I need to know why this is happening. You go into places and you do people's work. You're either giving individuals Reiki or you're doing this cool practice of Reiki and the home spirit. And then you leave and these people are horny. What's going on with this sexual resurgence that's happening? Because I've been clocking that. What is going on?
I feel
what's that?
So, okay. I had a client reach out couple weeks ago. This is a woman in her late 70s. I did Reiki for her many months ago and then never heard back from her. And I thought like, what a shame. It didn't do anything. Like I just assumed because she didn't rebook me, it didn't work.
That is what? No, why do we do that?
Like the stories.
You've
like,
had people come back a year later and like, you said this to me and I just wanted to let you know, here's how my whole world changed. Now I live in France.
Life.
I'm like, oh my God, thank you because I never heard from you. Yeah.
It's so weird. Like, you're an impact machine, right? So you literally blink, like people take a trajectory away from you after the impact.
It's very scary because like sometimes they really hate you, and they really, or they want to villainize you because you've activated them. I activate people all the time and I don't know. And that's really what terrifies me. And that's what keeps me isolated sometimes because I don't know what I don't know. And I never want to hurt anyone. And sometimes I've activated someone in a way that wasn't my intention. And then I feel ashamed about it, even though I intellectually know that's not my responsibility. That's not my fault. That's really about them. It doesn't feel good to experience that because people can be violent toward the manifester.
Yes. And that pokey projector eye, like I've had plenty of experiences where I'm like,
thank you for not making it about me. You're right. Yeah.
You need to go over there. And people are like, see you never.
So I have to listen to my own body when I'm feeling that, because then you've been around the projectors who are like these, like you're just like, I want you, because they're so ready for you. Like they're so in their, they're sitting at the seat of their throne. They're in their passenger consciousness and they're like, come to me, peasants. And we're like, okay, like it's very powerful.
I will sit at your feet. Like powerful. I love clean projector energy.
Okay. So what happened with the sexy, horny 7-year-old? Tell me.
Okay. So,
so you don't hear from her.
I don't hear from her for like 6 months. Out of the blue, I get this message. Karen, I have to share something with you. And I was too embarrassed to tell you before. But after our Reiki session, after 20 years of being sexually dead, I had to pleasure myself. I'm like,
I love it. I love it. First of all, I'm struck by she hasn't been sexually active since she was about 50. That seems very young to me. So that's like initial devastation.
mm-hmm.
And then thinking about an innocent projector moving through her energy field, and then she's left with extreme arousal. To me, and she's too embarrassed to tell you about that, I totally understand. To me, what was going on with you, the practitioner, and what signature did you leave behind after your work that maybe is a little bit... So are you feeling a sexual resurgence, if I'm allowed to ask that?
Well, I mean, I've been...
She's...
I'm having the best sex of my life right now. I have had my own sexual...
Wow. Okay.
Opening,
that's cool.
Awakening, flowering, up-leveling.
And that's like almost reflected. I'm curious, does she have any totally open centers? This person? I'm just wondering, is there anything she's could have been... For me looking at it, I would be like, Karen cleared something there, sure, but I wonder if it's possible that part of Karen's essence could have been fused there, especially now that you've said, well, I've been having the best sex of my life, right? Like what parts of our energy are communicating with others that we aren't aware of? Like what parts of us are sexy and alluring? What parts of us are activating? What stays with others when we leave?
I mean, I will say, like, this woman who gave me that feedback is a defined sacral and a defined emotional. So I was really surprised that I was going to have an effect on that system in any kind of sexual way. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
But that's a very sexy system that's been shut down for 20 years. Like,
and
that's
so
I've never met an emotional authority person who wasn't alluring. Like, they're just sexy in a certain way. Like, they might be repelling, they might be whatever their aura is, but there's an atmosphere around emotional beings that's alluring.
Yes.
It just is.
This is also a fifth line person.
Oh my God, another cool dynamic. What's the environment?
Okay, so we don't have birth time.
Then we can't know.
So it's really unclear.
Okay.
There are a lot of questions.
I would watch for a bit and I'd probably find out because I love that, but yeah, okay, so we don't know.
I am glued to this person's chart now, and I'm like really trying to maintain contact with her because I want to know everything. But she has a totally open spleen, and I'm a splenic projector. So perhaps something needed to get cleaned up, something got let go, released.
Yeah.
She also has an undefined ajna. So was there a mental story about sex that was blocking? I don't know.
Well, I guess why I'm bringing this up is because, like, from a journalism perspective, she's not the only case that I've seen. So, like, while, like, the reason I'm wondering what was going on with you is because it is not just the 70-year-old. I've been kind of watching you communicate online. There has been multiple clients who have then come to you with sort of a sexual resurgence, Karen.
I mean, literally the day, I think within probably 5 minutes, I'm splenic. I'm like, oh my God. I just heard this thing, you guys. So I have to go tell all my friends, fourth line. I'm like, you guys, this happened. Is this a thing? And I start getting these responses back on Instagram and my stories. People are like, I had amazing sex right after you did this. Or I've had 3 sessions with you and 3 times. Yeah, if I think about it, boom, 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 it happened every time. I'm like,
Karen, what do you think's going on there? What are you unblocking in them? Like, this is more of a collective conversation right now. This is like, we're going now from the personal to collective because now there's a pattern of sexual resurgence after these sort of energetic clearings. And sexuality is really just creative energy, right? Like, it's just like a...
Yeah. I mean, how do I even talk about sex? I was not prepared for this. I think it is the most... I don't even know what words to pick. Like, I think that sexuality is one of the ways that we can completely up-level spiritually, emotionally. Like, I think that this is the essence of creativity and receptivity I mean, I'm a Sphinx cross, so there's always this 1-2 contemplation happening. Like, what is yang? What is yin? What is the relationship there?
Yang? Is that how I say it? Because I say yang. Is it yang?
I mean, the Chinese people
correct
I
me.
know have said yang. I mean, people who read a lot often don't know how to pronounce things because they're not hearing it, they're seeing it, you know? And I make those mistakes all the time. But yeah, my Chinese friend told me, like, don't say yang. That sounds so American, like yang.
But
yin
I get,
with no G.
Can I confess?
Yes.
Like,
Yes.
I'm performing in a white female form. That's a little bit, there's privileges with that, but that's also a little bit embarrassing and uncomfortable sometimes. So if I'm out here saying yang, does that seem a way? Is that disrespectful in any way?
Oh, I mean, I think I understand. Like, I really don't like it when white dudes are talking like this and then they start talking about tacos and burritos. Like
Me too. That's what me too.
The cringe.
So I don't want to be disrespectful. I want to use correct language, but also I don't want to be disrespectful.
Yeah. I agree. With yang, I don't know. I mean, I have a little bit more privilege here because I'm half Asian, so I get to kind of own some parts of Asianness.
My kid said to me yesterday, he's like, "You're always quoting Chinese philosophy." I was like, "That's a weird thing for you to pick up on, you 10-year-old." Oh, I was like, well, they are the best at reading the energy that flows across the planet. And so I go do the best source. That's what I said to him. So
I completely sign off on that. That whole story is, love it.
Yeah. So, okay. Where can people find you? If they want to work with you, if they want to learn more about this, how do people find you?
Well, you can come find me on Instagram, Karen Scholle, HD. KarenScholle.com is my website. I'm going to have a new one soon.
Fun.
Yes.
It's easy to book with her.
Yeah. And I'm doing 9-centered Reiki remotely. I'm doing 9-centered Reiki for the home. I have like kind of a monthly workshop thing that's happening right now where we're talking about somatic deconditioning. And that's a part of my work too, is really connecting the dots between all of this stuff, all this head stuff, and then what is happening in the body and how we start clocking those patterns and actually like really intentionally deconditioning through somatic awareness.
Yeah. And what are you excited about now that we're in fall, going to the next new season, new part of the year? What are you looking forward to with your work right now?
Fall always feels sexy. It cools off a little bit.
And that's around you, apparently. This hair, these clients.
I mean, I had a sense, I had an idea that perimenopause was going to be a sexual death, and I've been really thrilled that's not the case for me.
Cool.
Like, really thrilled that has not been the case for me. I was really scared of losing that identity, and it's like, it has been really fun.
That's very empowering.
To not. Yeah,
that's very empowering.
I think being receptive to sex as anything, receptive to pleasure, connection, love, physical touch. Like, there's so much medicine available to us there. And the more we can be receptive to it, I think there's like incredibly transformative experiences that can be had sexually. And I think it's really important. And I think it's such a shame that a lot of women my age are not having the kind of sex that I'm having. And I wish it was different. I think the world would be so much better if everyone was having mind-blowing sex. Like, don't you want to live in a world where everyone's having exactly the kind of sex they want to be having?
I do.
I mean,
I'll come to that world.
Like, I can only do so much, but like this is part of the influence I want to spread, right? Like, yeah, get it.
Thanks for listening to my latest insight. If you want to get in touch with your inner architecture, you can learn how to read the human design variables with me at vanesshenry.com. And if you're just getting started with your human design studies, visit the Jovian Archive. And remember, listen to your body.